I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's the regular meeting of the Costa Mesa Sanitary District, Tuesday, February 25th at 5:30 at Sonora Elementary School. If everybody would stand up and put your hand over your heart and follow me in saluting the greatest flag in the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would you do the honors?
My pleasure. If you'd all bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for all the blessings you provide. We ask that you once again watch these proceedings, and see that our decisions are in the best interest of our community. We appreciate the public being with us to help in our decision making. Please be with them on their safe travels home this evening. Amen.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Director Robert Uten.
Here.
Director Arlene Schaefer.
Here.
Director Arthur Perry.
Here.
Vice President Michael Schaefer.
Here.
And President James Ferriman.
Here.
Thank you.
We have no ceremonial matters. Let's see, at this time, I want to read a statement that Dave Brooks, who's retiring from the school district, we're going to present this, is a resolution or, yeah, to him in honor of his service. So let me just read this real quickly. I would like to discuss a non-agenda item pertaining to a retiring member on the school district's Board of Education for whom the district should issue a proclamation. I would like to ask the district's council what the legal requirements are to do so.
Thank you, Mr. President. You need to make findings by a 2/3 vote that the need to take action arose after the agenda was prepared and that there is a need to take immediate action.
As you know, Dave Brooks is scheduled to retire from the school district after 16 years on the board. I recently remembered that his last day will be March 11th. If we wait, we will not have the proclamation ready for his retirement ceremony. So may I have a motion to consider the non-agenda item?
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
You have now been elevated. Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion that we approve, and not only that, but with findings as the attorney has pointed out.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
I have a question. Are you going to make the presentation at that board meeting?
Yes, I am. Now for the main, well, I guess we already did that, didn't we? Now for the main motion, I would like to adopt a proclamation honoring David Brooks for his 16 years of service on the Board of Education. I guess, is that redundant? We need to do that. Entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now back to our regular agenda. And this is the time in our agenda that the public can address the board on issues that aren't on the agenda. Fill out one of the green slips that Noelani has and be recognized to speak to the group. At this time, is there anyone who'd like to address the board? Okay, we'll move along. Consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any director would like to pull for discussion?
Move for approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move up item 14 under the general manager's report to replace 10. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to announce to the public that 2014 is the district's 70th anniversary. The district incorporated on February 11th, 1944, after 616 community members voted or casted their votes for incorporation. Of those 616 people that voted, 471 voted for incorporation and 145 voted against. And just for some historical perspective, the reason why the community voted for incorporation is because they were having some trash issues back in 1944. So I find it very ironic that here we are 70 years later, and we're going to be talking about a significant trash issue. So timing is perfect. Throughout the year, the district will be visible in the community, giving away to the public free 70th anniversary promotional items. So I want to announce to the public, please visit our website. You'll see a schedule of where we will be throughout the community. And I also want to thank the Board of Directors for approving the promotional items, and I want to especially thank Directors Schaefer and Directors Perry, along with staff members Diana Wick, Javier Alchiqui, and Elizabeth Pham for selecting the promotional items and planning the anniversary activities throughout the year. So thank you very much.
Question, Mr. General Manager? If 616 people,
616, correct.
voted, and of course, the city of Costa Mesa hadn't incorporated yet, these must have all been county residents? They
That is
voted for the
correct.
County?
That is correct. It was all county residents, correct.
They weren't Newport Beach people?
That I don't know. I just said it's in the residence, 616 people.
Where are you going with this,
No, I'm
Mike?
just curious, that's all.
Okay. Any comments or any questions on that? Item 10, environmental review.
Thank you, Mr. President. You might recall last month in your January meeting, we presented the environmental review for the organic recycling program, and there was some public comments and some concerns regarding that review. So instead of filing the review with the county clerk's office, staff decided to address those issues and concerns, and that's why we brought forward you a more in-depth review pertaining to the organic recycling program. Basically, we looked at several options. We looked at several areas like such as noise. We looked at infrastructure of the streets for having additional trucks on the streets. We looked at traffic, air quality, and the real whole purpose of CEQA, I want to make it very clear, the purpose of CEQA is to evaluate any significant impacts to the environment. And the key word is significant. And so that's what we're looking at in all these areas. And it's our determination that implementing the organic recycling program will not have any significant impacts to the environment. So I'm not going to go into great details on the staff report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those questions. And Rob is also available. The district engineer is available to answer questions. But what we're recommending, staff is recommending tonight, is that the directors identifies the organic recycling program as a project and determine that the project is categorically exempt from further CEQA review pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15038. I'm sorry, 15, that's not the right number, it's section 15308. Let me just double check. Yes, it's guidelines 15308. So,
Okay, you got that?
yes.
I'm looking at 15038.
Yeah, that was incorrect on the first page. So it's 15308, which is indicated on page 8 of your staff report under environmental review.
So the record is clear, Mr. President, it's the exemption that allows an exemption for an ordinance that implements an environmental program. That's the one we're adopting.
Does the board have any comments or questions that they'd like to bring up right now?
I think Alan answered my question. I was going to ask that if he had looked at this and agreed with the recommendation.
Yes.
Same thing.
Okay. We need a motion on this.
Yes, please.
I'll second it.
Further discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President,
And just so the record is clear, Mr. President, we'll be filing that notice of exemption in conjunction with when we bring the ordinance to you that will implement the agreement if you do pass the agreement. That's the proper sequence processing.
My question was if there was anyone in the audience who wanted to speak to this, even though we didn't have any. I was just curious if anybody wanted to speak on behalf of this issue.
Okay. Well, we gave them an opportunity to do that, so.
Okay.
Item 11, CR&R Environmental Services Second Amendment to the Exclusive Franchise Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is regarding the organic recycling program as well as certain items that were identified by the recent performance audit done by Consulting Services. And as you might recall, this is the third time we're presenting this to the board, the Second Amendment. The first time was in November, and then we presented to again in the board in January. The board has directed staff to go out to the public and share this information to the public, get their concerns, their questions, address those concerns and questions. We had a total of 4 town hall meetings, and we estimate close to 200 people attended all of those 4 meetings, and probably about half of those people spoke. And in your agenda packet and your staff report is a list of all those questions, concerns, along with staff's response. I do want to make one correction in that response. There was a question in there that's asked how much does it cost for a C&D truck. I don't know why I keep saying this, but I said $250 million. It's $250,000. I said that during one of the workshops as well, so I don't know why that figure stuck in my head. But it's $250,000 for a C&D truck. I believe we have addressed those issues. One of the main focus of concern was odors. And I think we addressed that issue. As you know, we found out that you can use biodegradable bags to place inside the kitchen pails, or if you want to, if you want to use it for your green waste, you could put it in the 100% compostable bags. That is an option for residents. So I believe we have addressed all those concerns and issues, and I believe that the agreement is ready for approval. If you approve the agreement tonight, the next step is that we will come back next month with revising our code, operations code, so it pertains to the organic recycling program. We have to amend that code, and then we can sign the contract. But what we're requesting tonight is to approve the agreement, and then if you approve the agreement and amend the operations code, then we're foreseeing the program to implement in November, and at the earliest, if the board wants to start it later, we can do that, but we're shooting for November 2014.
Okay.
So I'd be happy to answer any questions for the board.
Anybody have a question?
I just want to make sure the public has a chance to speak to this before I have a question.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up just a couple real quick points.
Sure.
And that is to remind everyone that in this program, our ratepayers can opt out of it if they don't want to participate in that portion of it. Am I right?
We're not using the word opt-out, it's exemption. So basically, if a resident believes that they either do not accumulate a lot of food scraps, or they do not have a lot of green waste, or maybe there's a storage issue regarding for the multifamily units, then what we're recommending is that those residents contact the district staff. We will go out there and meet with that residents and make a determination if they are eligible for exemption.
Okay. And then secondly, I think I can speak for the board when I say that in a perfect world, we would like to stay with the single stream method that we've had for 20 years. That it worked great, and we didn't have to consider these other types of treatment. But the world doesn't stay the same, and the rules are changing, and we are not going to be able to maintain that approach. So this, as far as we're concerned, this is the next best thing that we can do. And with working with CR&R on some of the issues, I think that we've arrived at an acceptable alternative. So, having said that, anyone else have a comment? Bob?
I'm really supportive of this program, the organics removal program. Basically, the board knew this was coming, and they set a strategic goal to implement what became law, which was 75% diversion from landfills. I think that we have enough green waste in the community, and I think we have enough organic waste in the community to meet the goal. What I'm, as I read about this in the literature, some communities have a significantly low participation in the food waste separation program. So I think I'm very supportive of getting this program going in January of next year. We need time to get data to find out how much tonnage of organics and green waste. I believe the public will participate in the green waste separation program. I'm hopeful that they'll participate in the organics, in the food waste program, but some communities don't. If not, we need time to collect data, make an assessment, and determine what, if any, other technologies we need to develop to meet the state mandated 75% diversion from the landfills by 2020. So I'm in favor of getting started. It'll take a few years for the program to get implemented, for us to continue our education program with the community. Then we'll do an assessment to see how well we're doing. We could be doing extremely well. We're likely to do well, again, as I said, on the green waste side. Hopefully we can encourage and educate the public to participate on the food waste side. So I'm very supportive of this. And I'll be voting in favor of it.
Thank you, Bob. Arlene?
Yes. First of all, I would like to first thank the staff and also CR&R for all the fine work they've done, because as far as I speak not only for myself, I'm sure, but the board too, that it's been a real good effort on everybody's part to put this together. And the main thing is we had a concern as far as getting out to the public, for the public to have the understanding and education of what is going on. Because without that, you're thinking, hey, I don't want change. We don't need it. But the change is here, like has been set up here. And the important part is that by us getting in like this, we're actually going to save the taxpayers some money, because we'll be first in. And I know that doesn't sound, important to some people, but your dollars does. And as long as we can still go on and educate people and our door will still be open, I have no problem with it either. As long as we have taken the time, and we've had a full house when we've had our people here to be able to understand it, and people went away feeling that they understood it.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Director Schaefer said about thanks to staff and to our partners, CR&R, for doing the town halls. I think that was so beneficial to all of us to hear what the community had to say. And I know we answered their questions. I'm fairly confident we answered their questions, and just want to make sure that everybody knows that we need to look at those kind of processes in the future as we get into more things. The town hall meetings were really beneficial. I had a couple quick questions for Scott, if I could. I know there are certain people, Scott, that can be exempted from the program, but nobody, in deference to our friendly reporter from the Daily Pilot, we're not requiring people to do this. I mean, if someone doesn't want to do it, if they just refuse, we're not going to go write them a citation. We're not going to knock on their door and tell them they're violating our policy or anything like that.
Well, let me just clarify. Everyone will get an organic cart.
Yes.
Everyone will get an organic cart. I think the issue is that if someone doesn't want to put their food scraps in their organic cart and they put it in their mixed waste cart, yes, you are correct. There's not going to be trash cops out there writing citations. Okay. But everyone will get an organic cart, and that is to put the green waste in there.
Okay. Yes. The other question I had is I had a member of the public call me and talk about the biodegradable, that's the word, trash bags. Mm-hmm. Have we looked at maybe a program where, to get people used to doing this, we offer them a box of 50 of these bags? Have we looked at any kind of cost to that?
We can definitely, if that's the direction of the board, we can do that. It's usually about $5.50 a box for a box of 20. So it can add up pretty quick if you're buying bulk materials. But I think I mentioned this earlier before, or not tonight, but in the previous town hall meetings, is that if the board approves this program, we will send letters out to the grocery stores and the outlets that carry these bags and encourage them to stock them, because we're going to tell them, hey, there's going to be a market out there now for this material, so we encourage you to stock up on them. Because right now, all I'm finding is I think the Walmart in Huntington Beach off of Talbot has them. They're the Glad bags. They have the 13-gallon bags. And then the Target in Santa Ana off of Bristol has the large 30-gallon bags. And that was the only place I could find.
I just thought it might be a way for people to get used to the little food can that they're going to get.
Well, if the board wants to direct staff to come back with a number, if you give me a number, like how many boxes or how many you want to make available, we can come back with some
see.
estimates.
Discuss that at a study session, I think.
Yeah,
Sure.
that which is completely fine.
Sure.
You got to be careful, though, if you buy them in Huntington Beach, because you have to carry the box out yourself. Huntington Beach doesn't give you a bag unless you buy the bag to put them in, so you do have to be careful.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
any-
all. Oh, so.
Yeah, I have a question again about the rollout. Excuse me. And like in my case, I'm not going to be required to have a green waste container because I live in a condominium complex and we don't do any yard work. How will you know that I don't need one of those?
Well, if you're, it's going to be up to the residents to notify us, because right now we're just going to roll them out to everyone, and the residents are going to have to notify us, hey, I don't, like I said, I don't have a lot of green waste, I don't have a lot of food waste, I don't have enough, I can't store this. So talking to CR&R, it just be to roll everything out, and then the residents will call us, and we'll
Maybe that should be one of the main topics when we have additional workshops, that let people know what the process is.
sure, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we want to stay on top of that too, because we don't want to upset, ratepayers that don't want these things or don't have room to store them, So we may have to, I don't know, hire people to take care of it, we'll just have to- we'll
Could I
have to
ask
talk
another
about
question?
it.
Could I ask another question? Maybe Dean, can you answer that? How have you done rollouts in the past with this type of project?
Yes, Mr. Perry, I think there's two options. Staff gave the one option, just roll it out, everybody gets one, people call in, we check and see if it's an exempt area and go pick it up. The other option, and I think that Mr. Carroll and I talked about it in one of our meetings, I'm not sure if we did it in a public setting or not, but we talked about another option about analyzing different neighborhoods prior to the rollout. Driving down, we can do it a couple days, work together on this, kind of identify certain neighborhoods that we don't think are going to need this or would be exempted anyway, and try to identify those, talk to the homeowners associations, maybe even send a letter out to the master association, and they kind of get their opinion on it. So I think I think we've got plenty of time to do that. If you're looking at a January 1 rollout, I think it might make sense.
Okay, no, that answers my question. Thanks. Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? We do have a motion on the floor.
Public comments? You want to take public comments?
Public comments?
Did you
I
receive?
don't have any
Okay,
cards.
okay.
Would anybody like to address? Okay. Please bring your green card up here.
There's two right there.
And the microphone's over here on this side. Thank you.
Hello, Cindy Brenneman. They might be redundant questions because I came in a little bit late, I apologize, but I know that there is a way to opt out, and is it only opting out of the biodegradable, the food stuff, or can you opt out of the whole program? I'm asking these questions for a whole bunch of people. Can you opt out of the whole program? So that's one question. How many cans can you have of each before you get charged? Like, do you get 1 or 2 cans, 2 of each of the cans? That's my second question. How do you police the people who come and pilfer? Because we have people that come through our neighborhood and they take the recyclable stuff out of our trash. So how do you police that when they're already coming through, now it's going to be in a nice container for them. All they have to do is dump the whole container and they've got your recyclable. So that was another question I had. And then there's an issue that maybe is unique to me, but we have a tree trimmer that lives on our street. He uses our cans a lot to throw he uses everybody's on the whole street when he has excess trimmings. And my gardener uses our trash can also for all of our trimmings. So how does that affect what we're doing? How do I reconcile all of that? So those are all my questions. Thanks.
Well, I might say that those were all discussed.
I can address those. I can address all those questions, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question as far as opting out, we don't call it opting out, we call it an exemption. If you meet some of those criteria, you can file an exemption for the organics program. Now, you can't opt out of the solid waste collection program. That is state law. You have to participate in the program. It's in our code. So you can't opt out us not picking up any of your trash. So that's not an option. The second item, as far as how many you can get, right now every resident will keep their mixed waste cart. They'll get one organic cart. If they want to have a second organic cart, they can get that at no cost. So when the additional cost comes into play is that when you get a third mixed waste cart or a third organic cart, then you'll be charged $8 a month. Okay. As far as scavenging goes, if you can leave me, I think if you have your name and address, we do have code enforcement that goes out and looks for scavengers to take materials out of the bins. We also have lockable containers that are available. If you need a lockable container, we can deliver one for you that prevents people from stealing recyclables. So those are some options available to you. And then the fourth option, as far as the gardener putting his green waste to other people's containers, if you have the name of that person, please refer him to us because he's not supposed to be doing that. If he's gardening for one particular person, then all that green waste should go in that cart. It shouldn't go to every neighbor's cart. So we need to know who that is, and we can coordinate that with the city and make sure that he doesn't do that.
What about the gardener that's working in your yard? I mean,
the gardener's working in your yard, then he would put the green waste in the organic cart. Now, if you need more, if your organic cart's not big enough, let's say you have a large landscaping, we do have a special green waste program with CR&R where you could rent a temporary 3-yard bin for half the price, and those are for like those one-time large gardening events that you have at your house, and then you can keep that for a week, and then you throw all your green waste in there for half the price, like $50, I think it is. So, you're welcome.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Could I add that District Operations Code 7.01.090 also provides that it shall be unlawful for any person to deposit solid waste in a container owned or legally possessed by another person in any public, private place without the written permission of the owner or legal possessor of the container. So we do have a specific prohibition on people using other people's trash cans.
Thank you, Alan.
And that would be a misdemeanor.
We have Beth Rafrakis.
Yes, Beth Rafrakis, East Side Costa Mesa. I have some of the same issues. We have people going through the trash. We also have people dumping. I mean, you may have an ordinance that's a misdemeanor, but how are you going to catch people that dump trash in your trash container without your permission when they do it at night or when you're gone or something, when your trash container is, I mean, we have an area in the alley that is actually on our property. It's set back where we have our trash containers, and people, if we're gone, we have to pull our trash containers in as soon as the trash people come by and then put them out shortly before they come, or if we just leave them out there, we don't have room for our trash. So that is an issue. The other thing is I'd like to see that you work with the markets and the different vendors in the city to make sure that there are bags available. I've looked at several, I don't know, like 10 different supermarkets and stuff. Nobody has them. They have like 15 different kinds of Glad trash bags, but none of them are biodegradable. And I bag everything, so, if you want me to participate in this, I have to be able to get some kind of bags to put my garbage in and stuff. I just,
That's a good point.
So I wish you would, work with that to make sure they're available. The other thing is the rollout. I think the option that was just presented is a better rollout means, because you're going to wind up having a lot of the organic containers that maybe you don't need, because there's a lot of people that aren't going to need them. So I think that maybe you should, check around or do it some kind of by area for a rollout, something like that, so that you have a better feel for what people really need. And I know I have 2 bins now. I'm going to have a problem getting a 3rd one in there because I don't have enough room for 3. I got room for 2. But anyway, those were, are still my concerns about the program. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Harris?
How you doing, guys? Mark Harris, Costa Mesa. I'm glad to hear what Mr. Schaefer and Fairman and some of you have said about, and I'll just say opting out. I know that's not the term you want to use, but it's just, that's stuck in my head. And because I don't think that something like this really should be a mandatory thing. I do think it's a good thing that we recycle. I tried recycling cans once and it was a mess. I had a side yard with ants and sticky stuff all over and it just didn't work. Probably the wrong kind of container to hold it in. But I think that this kind of thing needs to be done slowly. I'm glad to see you guys are one of the first. I'm also glad to see that CR&R has got their facility that they're building in Paris, California to take care of this stuff, because at least they're getting their facility done before they really start getting bombarded with the stuff. That's a good move. But I do feel that it is their responsibility to get the numbers up from the 57% we currently have to the 75% that we need. I believe it's by 2015, I think is what I read. If that means, I'm really familiar with their system because I worked for the city of Newport for 30 years, so I saw the transfer trucks and I've driven through the plant and all that. If they need to add conveyor belts to their systems wherever they might be in the future, or even now up in Stanton, or slow them down, or add people, or have new machines that do better jobs of sorting and picking, that to me is, they're taking the trash ultimately. They're saying, we want your trash, we'll take care of it, and we'll dispose of it properly as a business. So I put a lot of it onto them. I don't particularly want to have a can sitting on my counter or on the floor that my dog knocks over and gets into. Just, to me, it's just an inconvenient mess. I don't have a problem with participating monetarily. If there was some way to figure out a formula where I could pay some extra money because I chose to opt out, and I could pay some extra money, I don't have a problem with that, because I think that's at least you're trying to help some way in the direction to get this goal that we're all trying to achieve. So that would be, my comments pretty much. But I can guarantee you, if you want to see a program fail, tell everybody they got to do something, and they'll automatically put their heels in the ground and go backwards. So don't come down heavy-handed with it. Do it like you're doing slowly, and be kind to those who don't want to participate in the program, and then maybe even let them, like I said, participate monetarily. And those are my suggestions.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone have a comment they'd like to share?
Just a comment. Is that Bev? Beth. Beth, if maybe she could get a lockable container, if that's a problem with people dumping it in.
Definitely.
That would solve her problem.
Mike?
Just a couple comments. I want to make sure that the public knows that this idea of pilfering, there's really not going to be a change, because I don't think those people that we have a problem going after our recyclables are necessarily going to go into that green waste organic cart. I don't think they're going to want to go in that organic cart.
Correct.
So the pilfering part of it, we need to keep our diligence, and I think we do. I think our code enforcement people do a good job of making sure that that stuff, as much as we can, is taken care of. But it does take the public to notify. I mean, I've notified you of a couple trucks that go through my neighborhood. So the public's still going to have to participate in that and let us know about these people that are getting into our trash cans. In terms of the rollout, and right up front, I'm more in favor of starting this in January. I think the timing is better, and the first of the year starting new and everything. But is it possible that, when we used to do the large item pickup, we would do a door hanger, or we'd do something to let people know, hey, in 2 weeks, you're gonna have a large item pickup process. It might be worthwhile for us to maybe late this summer, do a door hanger through the city and say, hey, it's, that's providing we approve this program tonight, I guess. But maybe a door hanger late in the summer that says, here's kind of where we are, the schedule, and then maybe a door hanger just before, right around the holidays, if we go to the end of the year, just to let them know, hey, this is coming. And I know we tried the robocalls with for the town hall meetings. Every time that girl would say Costa Mesa, it would drive me crazy. And I know they fixed it at the end, but I just think if people have something in their hands just before we do the implementation of the rollout, they can see it, they get stuck in the refrigerator or whatever they do with them. I think that might be worthwhile for us to consider doing. That's it.
Bob?
I'm agreeing.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Do you want me to respond to Vice President Schaefer?
Sure.
Well, first off, yes, thank you. The public, it's very important for the public to let us know if there's scavengers. It's the one scavenger you notify us, Vice President Schaefer, we caught them. We did catch them. So it's very important for the public to let us know who is scavenging, the description, the times, all that stuff is very important, and I think UCG does a very good job out there. As far as notifying the public of implementation, we plan on doing that really all year round. So if the program is approved, we will have some more community outreach, some more town hall meetings. We're hoping maybe to get some TV coverage, some radio coverage. Definitely our newsletter is very, very popular. Door hangers is definitely a good option. We're also looking at inserts at Mesa Water Utility insert, which is very popular. So everything's on the table for getting the word out. Yeah. Yes.
And that guy that you did catch in my neighborhood, I'm glad you did, because now he's in Uten's neighborhood.
Yeah, great. Good to know.
He gets better stuff in Uten's.
If he takes all of my trash, it'd be just this much.
Okay, any further comments? I'd call for the question. We have a motion on the floor. I don't think we have a motion, do we? No. We don't? Well, I'm asking for
Okay,
it.
okay. I'd like to make the motion
I
that
thought
we approve the CR&R Environmental Services Amendment and the recycling program.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Quick question for the general manager.
Yes.
Now that we've approved the program, are we going to come back later to talk about implementation, rollout dates? Is that stuff that we still have to do?
Yes, definitely. The next step now is next month we'll bring a revised ordinance for you to approve, because it reflects the organic recycling program, which District Council and I will work on. And then once that's approved, we'll actually sign the agreement and it'll be implemented. And then CR&R and myself will sit down, and we're just talking about this before the meeting, is that if the board approves that, we would work backwards. So whatever you pick a date, when you want to have the implementation date, then we'll work backwards on finding, okay, when to get the word out.
Could we maybe put this on a future study session?
Oh, absolutely.
To let you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We'll be in constant communication with the board as far as this goes.
It should probably be on the agenda of that meeting every month, I would think, up until we.
Like an updated report.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Okay.
Jim, President, did your motion state when the rollout should begin?
My motion didn't state that, but, well, that was my question to Scott right now, was to have them come back and have a study that talked about that date.
All right.
It's going to be between November and January 1st,
Correct.
I assume, somewhere in that time frame, based on the Paris facility.
Alan, do you see any problem with that verbiage?
No, Mr. President, I think it's clear. We'll bring the ordinance back to implement, and once you adopt the ordinance, then the President's authorized to sign, and we'll do other implementing steps as we go, as you direct.
Thank you. Okay, let's move along. Mid-year budget update.
Thank you, Mr. President. Winnie Davis, Interim Finance Manager, will be giving this report.
Thank you, Mr. Attached, you have the mid-year budget review. Just in summary, this represents the first 6 months of the year. We're on target to end up with a balanced budget at the end of the year or a slight surplus. I like to say that we're on target to be on target, but not necessarily a surplus, but we'll see. There's a couple of items that I'd like to draw your attention to in the mid-year budget review. As you know, we have 3 vacant positions at the district right now. So those positions were originally budgeted in the salaries and benefits category, but we're using contractual services or going without for those positions. So where we're way under in salaries and benefits, we're over in maintenance and operation where our contractual relationships are. Hypothetically, if one of those positions or all of them were filled, then there would be no change in the projection of the budget. It would just shift back to salaries and benefits. The other thing I'd like to draw your attention to, the sewer fund is only at about 20% of expenditures at this point in time. It's very low. That's because a significant portion of our sewer budget is the capital CIP projects. We have spent year-to-date about $320,000 of a $5.6 million budget. We show that as being fully expended by the end of the year, and that is the assumption that it won't necessarily be fully expended, but we've committed to those projects, so therefore that money will be carried over into the next year. So even though we're low in expenditures, we project that we'll be on track.
Yeah, they're in the pipeline.
Yes, yes. They're in process or committed to begin when they're bid out. Those are the only items I'd like to draw your attention to at this point. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Bob?
Wendy, I appreciate the report. To make it easier for me to understand, if we could separate the CIP process out from the liquid waste process. There's such large carryovers from year to year in our construction implementation plan. And it you know, I've been used to these kinds of budgets forever, and I have a difficult time, you know, wending my way through it, so to speak. And so in future budgets or quarterly reports, or if we could find some way, you know, to separate those into the solid waste budget, the liquid waste budget, and then the CIP budget.
Certainly, we can do that for the next quarterly report.
I'd appreciate that.
Yes, that way it'll be more comparable to the solid waste fund with the, you know, because it's all maintenance and operations as opposed to CIP.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments of the mid-year budget update? If not, we'll move along to item 13, Rewarding Ideas Program.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Rewarding Idea Program is a program to allow staff to come up with innovative ideas that will either improve efficiency, save cost, improve morale. There's a list of criteria that staff is eligible to receive monetary compensation if they meet those criteria. Before you tonight is one idea from staff member Diana Wick, and it complies with improving morale in staff, and that is to encourage also, you know, longevity of staff members staying here at the district. And that suggestion is to recognize the employees annually by giving them a nice gift, you know, like a towel or a drink with the district logo on it to say thank you for your longevity with the district. Staff believes this is meets the criteria for the rewards program. It's a good morale idea, and so that's why staff is recommending the board approve rewarding Diana Wick $100 in the category for improving service, safety, condition, and or morale.
Do I hear a second?
Question.
Discussion.
Yeah. Do we have a budget on this, or are you just taking the $1,000 that's really the budget? You're saying that out of that would come the award?
No, we budget in this program, I believe we budget $10,000 in this program.
Yes, the $10,000 is actually in the salaries and benefits area. So that's the payment to the employee for the rewarding ideas. If we actually decided to say, buy something monogrammed, a backpack for the giveaway, the money would have to be transferred from the salaries and benefits down to the appropriate account, probably public information, community promotion, something like that. And, but there is $10,000, and I don't anticipate that we're going to spend that before the end of the year. I think we're at about 2,000 so far.
Okay, I just would like to see some type of report on it as far as, a breakdown of what we're doing. And we've named quite a few things here that they would get, but do you have an amount? Like so many monogram things, so many certificates, or how
Yeah.
you're doing? It's kind of loose here.
Yeah.
Well, I think our estimated, I think in the financial review, estimated range is between $210 to $1,400 in buying those items. Because we have a small staff, we're staff of a dozen, we're talking maybe a dozen items, so it's not a lot of items we have to purchase.
So, for example, if this year was a backpack, we have our embroidery on file at Nikki's. So we would just need to buy some backpacks, take them over, have them embroidered, and then brought over. So it could, vary by year, depending on what you're buying.
Include maintenance too? They would be included in it.
Maintenance of what?
Say, our staff.
Yeah, all the staff is
Yes.
included,
Okay,
absolutely, yeah, and they've been rewarded in the past on this program, yeah, every staff member. The only staff member who's not eligible for this program is myself, the administrative service manager, and the finance manager. Those 3 staff members are eligible for this program.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Just file that.
And we need, I think we need a motion for approval. Yes.
Oh, that's right. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Engineers report, project status report. Rob?
Thank you. Be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Just one thing, Rob. I think there's very good reports. I think to make them more understandable for me would be that some of them say, we had a bid. What I would appreciate is if we put the bid amount in, at the end of that sentence, so that I don't have to go back and find it in the agenda report if I'm wondering about it.
We can do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. It's not on the agenda. Yes, the study session last week, we talked about the culture and valves of the process.
Yes.
I'd like to have bring that back to the next study session, board discussion. This would be my own session.
We will do that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Project 204, sewer manhole cover repairs.
Thank you, Mr. President and board members. As we enter our 70th year, we are very concerned with our infrastructure. And over the last few months or so, our risk manager has fended off some claims for car repairs, for accidents at manhole covers. And based on that, the board directed the general manager to have a study prepared of the condition of our manholes, and the general manager did just that, hired Will Dan and Associates to survey half of our 4,700 manholes. That report was prepared and was discussed at our study session. The results of that was that approximately 100 manholes were labeled Category 5, which meant they needed immediate repair. And staff met and went through the budget process of estimating the repair cost of removing frames and covers and replacing them with new. And because it's an important item and we now have knowledge of these problems, staff recommends that the board transfer $100,000 from the asset management fund into the capital improvement program in order to take action and repair those as soon as possible. That's a brief overview. Your general manager can provide more information on the Wildan report. I can answer questions as well.
Any other questions about that program? Bob?
Ron, I appreciate where the program is going. I'm not sure I agree exactly with the findings of I appreciate where the program is going, but I'm not sure I agree with the imminent need to do the manhole replacement. And I guess I'm more concerned with, I went out and visited some of the manhole frames and covers that they recommended replacement. You and I might need to have this discussion, maybe we could do it, during the design of the program, but site-specific conditions, govern more than age. There were, 4 or 5 that I looked at. I would say none of the manhole frames and covers need to be replaced, and I think that's what I've heard, or it's been implied from the Wildan study. When you do road work, you basically just raise or lower the manhole frame and cover. Cast iron manhole frames and covers, I may need more education on this, but cast iron manhole frame and covers have been in place since the 20s. Rarely, it's the wear and tear is more, the wear and tear and or corrosion is more site specific, than the cast iron manhole frame and covers age. So as the design of this program gets going, I believe that there are a substantial number. I don't agree with the number 100, the Wildan number of 100. Maybe I need to look further into the program, but cast iron manhole frame and covers, unless they're tipping or subject to tipping, and that would mean the cover's sunken down and the frame ledge is worn. I'd like to be more involved when you actually do the design. I don't believe there's that many of them that need new cast iron manhole frame to covers. These things last god awful long time.
Those are excellent comments, and certainly during the design phase we flush out all the particulars, and we would probably do a more thorough investigation than what has been done.
You've got the focus now.
Correct. We would certainly open the manhole and review the inside, the underside, drive over it, make sure the cover fits snugly. So we would be taking additional steps.
Maybe we could drive over it together.
That's right. So, yes, those are excellent comments, and we put our trust in Wildan, and
Yep.
we would certainly go out and have another set of eyes and make sure it needs repair before spending money. Since we have quite a few manholes and we have quite a few category 4s and 3s, and eventually they'll be up to 5, so we try to spend our money wisely.
Thank you.
Arlene?
Do you need a motion for the 100,000 to be transferred over?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to make that motion.
Second. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by
I
saying...
have a comment.
Oh.
I like Bob's idea. Before we spend the money, we should take a close examination of each one of those, because like Bob said, the number of those are probably okay, but they were listed as grade 1s. Do we do that ourselves, or do we have somebody else view those?
We've had Wildan do the work to this point. During design, our engineers, our inspector will be going out, and we will very carefully assess each one of the 100 manholes.
Okay, thank you.
And just a comment that no matter how you look at it, we have 4s, we have 3s, we still need that 100,000 for the money.
Right. And lastly, as mentioned in the report, we are in our 70th year, and as Wendy and others know, and Mark, in accounting, there's probably a life expectancy associated with the sewer system, probably 60 to 80 years. And we're in the 70th year, so this is not uncommon for us to be taking additional steps, which we have never had a manhole surface program before. So the report does mention that it's always important at a milestone such as 70th year to take a good look at that asset management program and reevaluate, since we knew in the beginning what our goals were, 5 million in reserve, and looking forward what our contributions are. Probably a good idea to reconsider another good look at that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, for that report. Treasurer's report.
No items to report, Steve.
Thank you. Attorney's report.
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
Okay, local meetings. The Orange County Sanitation District, of which I'm on their board, meets tomorrow night. There are a couple of things that I might mention, and that is they are celebrating their 60th anniversary. You know, we're 10 years old. They are, I don't know where we must have had our own treatment plant or something.
Where did our sewer go before they came in?
I don't know.
I have a good idea.
Yeah, I think it went in the back way. And we also hired a contractor to negotiate with our union. So that's we did have somebody in-house doing it, and as you know, we're at an impasse now. This is the Orange County Sanitation District. Groundwater replenishment project was honored with the U.S. Water Prize, another feather in the cap of the groundwater replenishment. It's the water prize by the U.S. Water Alliance for the groundwater replenishment system. So it's, as you know, we're getting up to 100 million gallons a day of treated sewer water that's going back into our aquifer, underground aquifer, and we'll eventually get to 130 million gallons a day, which can service about 900,000 households. So we're helping ourselves, and a lot of other people are looking real hard at a program like ours. So,
Jim, on the Orange County Sanitation District, a couple things that caught my eye also that you'll be discussing tomorrow night is the local sewer transfer program to Tustin.
Right.
And basically, I'd like staff, Orange County Sanitation District staff say this is probably the conclusion of the program. So as far as any Orange County Sanitation District sewer transfers to us, I think the program will be dead. You know, we can conclude that program. The other thing is they had a good write-up. And you probably participated in this in the administrative committee. They have a budget schedule. They have a very detailed budget schedule, and in that budget schedule is a little summary of their reserves. And so what I'd like staff to do is take a look at that, because I believe one of our strategic goals is, you know, to have a better written down reserve program. We have many different reserves, some different from the Orange County Sand District, some same, but it's very hard to follow and remember, you know, without it being written down. So I would encourage staff to take a look at that. The meeting that Jim will be going to, and I may be going to tomorrow night. He'll be sitting on the board, because it's a good reference.
okay, thank you. Santa Ana River Flood Protection Agency.
No meeting this week.
Okay, ISDOC?
Thank you, Mr. President. Attended the executive committee meeting on the 4th of February. Seems to be the last few ISDOC meetings there's been a lot of discussion about ISDOC continuing membership in the Orange County Council of Governments, OCOG. They continue to go back and forth and back and forth. Of course, one of our contributors at those meetings is Phil Anthony, who's on the OCOG board. And the big bone of contention are the dues. And ISDOC pays $5,000 a year to OCOG to be a member. And there's a lot of members on the executive committee who are saying, well, no, not a lot. There's a couple of members on the executive committee that are saying, we're not getting our money's worth, we ought to just back out of OCOG. And a lot of us think that maybe we should continue, but we're going to go back to OCOG and see if for some reason they can't lower the dues and see if we can get a better deal. But that's what we keep talking about over and over again at the ISDOC executive committee meetings. The other thing, all of you should have or will be getting a survey from ISDOC about the quarterly meetings, whether you're attending, what do you feel? You should have gotten that by email. If you get it, please send it back so that Jessica can get an idea of what, of how we're doing. So, and those were the main things from ISDOC this month.
Okay. CSDA.
Oh, see, no report, we didn't,
Yeah,
there was nothing
CSDA.
with CSDA this month.
CASA? Nothing? Other meetings?
Mr. President, I had attended the SDR, Special Districts Risk Management Authority board meeting early in the month, and the main topic of discussion had to do with rates, and probably for you guys, for staff, rates through SDRMA this year for the property and casualty end of it are going to stay neutral, probably, but the workers' comp rates are, just like everybody else in the state, the workers' comp rates are going up. Not sure how much, we didn't really get the finite numbers, but expect an increase in your workers' comp rates. One other item of note, and I think I brought this up at the study session about the SDRMA Claims Education Day is March 18th in Sacramento. I will be attending that, which happens to coincide with our study session date, so I'll miss the March study session because I'll be in Sacramento representing you fine people. So
I don't think we don't appreciate
I know you do. That's all.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Any other meetings?
Yes. Finally me? Okay. I went to Costa Mesa Sanitary District's workshop on strategic planning. In fact, I attended every one but one. And then also I went to the board public hearing that we had in our office, and then ISDOC Executive Board meeting, the Recycling Committee meeting, the CSDA Board meeting, and the CSDA Ledge meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, one more. Attended the Waco meeting on Friday, February 7th.
I did
And
too.
we learned about, I'm not sure how to say this word, but fracturing? Or is
Yeah.
it fracking? I kept thinking of fracting, but I don't.
It is fracking.
It's fracking, right?
Yeah, it is.
They say fracturing, right? And first of all, it's a pretty nasty process. I mean, pumping chemicals and things down in the ground to find more water, but it seems to be working in some ways. And it was actually kind of an interesting thing, except when they were describing the chemicals that they have to put down in the fracking holes to make water happen. It was pretty interesting. And I missed the second speaker. I don't know, Arlene, did you stay for
Yes.
the second understanding public-private partnerships? Because I missed that part of it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
did.
That's what I thought.
So fracturing is correct for water? Oh, okay. Because even the speaker kept changing his terminology
Yeah.
all during the presentation. So.
I attended with Mike at that meeting. It was very educational. I thought it was good for anyone to listen to. It was really educational.
Okay, any other, Bob?
I attended the Santa Ana River Basin Section meeting, which is a local section meeting for sewage treatment plant people. I was president of the meeting back in, or the section back in mid-90s. It was held at the Lions Air Museum, and it was their awards and installation meeting. I had never heard of or been to the Lions Air Museum, and it's over by the airport. It is really a nice facility, and I'd encourage everyone to, think in terms of going. Anyway, it was their awards and installation banquet, and there are 1,400 members in the Santa Ana River Basin section. It's the largest section in the state, and it was good to see old friends and hear the awards. The district has received awards in the past at this meeting, although we had not applied for any awards this time, so opportunity for staff in the future.
Okay, anybody else? Let's move along to old business. Does anybody have anything? New business? Oral communications and director comments. Well, in that case, let's adjourn the meeting at 6:35. It's a record, I think, for us. Thank you all for attending tonight.